Hey everyone, this is Homemaking with Rebecca. Today we're going to be working on some Christmas caramels, and I'm so excited to share this recipe with you today. This is one of my favorite recipes. I have a lot of favorite recipes, but this is one of my favorites, and we make it every year at Christmas time, and we wrap them up individually and put them in little bags and give them to friends and family, and it's just a super fun memory to make. My kids like to help, and they like to help me wrap them up because it takes a little while to get them all wrapped up, and it's just a fun thing that we like to do every year, and everybody usually enjoys them. So I'm going to show you how to make them today, and I'm going to show you the ingredients we're using. So this recipe is not made with corn syrup. It actually has honey in it, and that's one of the things I really like about it. Years ago I decided if I was going to make and eat candy that I wanted it to be like really good, high quality, and so I think this is one of those recipes. So we just really enjoy making this, and it's really fun, and I'm going to show you the ingredients that we're going to use for it. Okay, so you want to have out all your ingredients and everything ready before you get started. So this is a square baking pan. This is like a 9x9 pan, and I've got some parchment in it. I've got that all ready to go. So I've got some ice water here. You're going to use that for testing your candy to see if it's at the right stage. You might have to add more ice for that if it melts. We've got honey, we've got butter, we've got sugar, brown sugar, vanilla, heavy cream, and milk. Then I've got some sea salt here. It's like a flaky coarse salt that we're going to sprinkle on top. So you want to have out your measuring cups and everything. I've got a nice thick bottom stainless steel pot here. We're going to use that. And then I've got some 2 thermometers here. You definitely want to have some thermometers. Now I have a candy thermometer, and it actually just doesn't work as well. These are some meat thermometers. So we're going to use those, and you want to have out a good spoon for stirring. I'm going to use this silicone spatula. So we're going to get started measuring our ingredients in the pot. So we're going to go ahead and get this on low just while we're getting our stuff in there, and then we'll turn it up in a minute. So I've got a half a stick of butter here. I'm going to do 1 cup of milk. This is heavy cream, so we're going to use 1.5 cups of this. So we're going to need 1/4 cup of honey. And this honey has gotten a little bit granulated, but it's fine. It'll melt down when we put it in the caramels. All right, get that in there. And you're just going to go ahead and put all your ingredients in except for your salt and your vanilla. You'll add that in right before we pour it into the pan. So we've got 3/4 cup of brown sugar. And 3/4 cup of white sugar. This sugar isn't super white because it's one I use that's a little bit more unrefined, so that's why it's not super white. So we're going to go ahead and get this turned up to medium, and we're just going to start cooking our caramels. So once everything starts heating up and the butter gets melted, it's going to come up to a boil, and you want to just kind of leave this on medium, and you're going to stir it the whole time because you do not want that caramel to stick to the bottom. So you can see that this is boiling really good now, and so I'm just going to sit here and stir it. And then if you have a candy thermometer, you can just stick that down in there and leave it in there, and it'll show you the temperature. I had one, and it just got to where it wouldn't work past a certain point, and so I'm just using my meat thermometers now, and I'll just put them in and check on it every once in a while to see what temperature we're getting up to. But this does take some time, so just be patient and just sit here and stir it, and it's going to get to that right temperature. So what we're looking for is going to be about 250, 255. We're also going to have our ice water here, and how you can test that is you can just dribble some in there and it'll form a little ball at the bottom, and it'll be really soft. And so if you kept going, you would get a hard ball stage, and then if you kept going further than that, you would get like a hard crack stage, like a hard candy would be. And so we're trying to get it right at that kind of softball, medium ball stage, so that this is a nice chewy caramel, but it's not too hard. You'll also see that the color is going to start changing and it's going to be getting darker. So you can see that it's starting to get a little bit darker brown, and we've still got a ways to go, but we're going to go ahead and just check the temperature just to kind of see what it is right now, so we can kind of get a baseline on that. Okay, so we're looking at about 215, 220. And what usually will happen is it likes to sit at that 220 for a little while, and then it'll really start getting hotter and start cooking out a lot of that moisture, and it'll start, and the temperature will start rising. So yeah, we're about 216 right now, and we want to just keep cooking this to get it up to 250. It's been about 5 more minutes now, and you can see how much this is reduced down. It's a lot less liquid than it used to be, so we're going to go ahead, kind of see what our temperature is at, because it's cooking along right now. And if you have a child that's helping you, just be really careful, because if this pops out, it can burn them or it can burn you. So you just want to be really careful with this. So it looks like we're still sitting at about 219, 218. So how pretty that looks. This is the part where it's going to burn, so you want to keep stirring that. Now you can kind of see that even in some of those bubbles, it's going to start being real brown. So like I said, you just want to keep stirring that, and you'll know that it's getting pretty close. You can see how rich and thick that is, and when I pour it off the spoon, how it's getting really thick now. And we'll check it in our water here in just a minute. Let's see what we're saying here. Looks like we're about 230, and it's going to really, from here on out, you're going to see that it's going to get hot really quick. So be really careful, because you don't want to burn yourself. You can kind of see in those bubbles right there how it's getting darker brown. That's what we want, like right there. Well, you can see it's getting really brown there, and we'll turn it down a little bit. I think it's almost ready. We're at about 235, 240, something like that. We want to get it up a little bit more, but I'm going to put it in my cold glass of water and kind of see how that does. So you can see in there, I don't know if you can see that it's kind of flat on the bottom, and what it'll do is it'll kind of ball up a little bit more when it's ready. So we're getting really close. All right, you can see here we're at 240. Let's see. 241. So we're going to try to get it up to really close to 250 without burning. You can see that it's getting real toasty there. Oh, that's saying it's 248. So I think we're about ready. We don't want to overcook this. You want it to be between 250 and 255. We're going to try it again in our cold water, and I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, it's not even sinking because of all the ice. You can't see this really good because the glass is all cloudy, but you can even kind of tell from the side there, you can get that caramel off and you can see that it's nice and soft because it's cooled down. That's what we want. Putting this in. All right. So now we're going to put in our vanilla, 1.5 teaspoons, and then we're going to pour it into our pan here. All in there. Sam, can you come help? Oh. You just want to get all that out there into the pan. Another spatula here. Spread that really good, and then we're going to put some sea salt on top of it. And then when I get done putting the salt on, I'm going to stick this in the fridge for about 30 minutes or so. You want it to have cooled down, but you don't want it too hard. And then we will cut it into pieces and wrap it into candy wrappers. You can just kind of put as much salt as you want on there. Get a close up. And our caramels are pretty much done. They've been in the fridge for about 30-40 minutes now, and we're going to get started on cutting these up and putting them in the wrappers. So these are our wrappers. We get these from Hobby Lobby and they're already cut. They're usually with the Christmas section. We like these full ones because they're really easy to wrap up in. And so I've got my caramels here, and I like to cut these in pretty small pieces. I'm going to start from the edge, and we're going to just cut them into little squares, and then we will wrap them up. So I like to enlist the help of my family members on this. If you can have one person setting the wrappers out, one person cutting and putting them on the wrappers, and another person rolling, that works really well. So here's our caramels all nice and wrapped up. You can see this made several. And what we like to do is take several of them, like 5 or 10, and put them in a little plastic bag. And then the ones that have like the little twist ties, or you can tie them with ribbon. And we like to give these out to teachers and friends and people that serve in our church and things like that. So I hope you make these caramels, and I hope y'all enjoy them as much as we do. We love this recipe, and like I said, it's just been so fun to make, and we usually all work together and get in here and make them and wrap them up together because it takes a little bit of work. So I hope you're having great holidays and hope you have a Merry Christmas. Thanks so much for watching.